I can kind of speculate a little bit. I mean, I made a decision, maybe wrong, I don't know, but I made a decision. I wanted to speak to kind of my fellow citizens about what they were doing in the war and peace field. So I decided to focus on American history and American culture, American thinking. To what extent these rationales for war are generally true of other people, I don't know. If you kind of compare American feelings about war with those of other peoples, I think we could talk about this and your ideas will be just as good as mine. One thing you could say, I suppose, is that there's perhaps more of a tendency in the United States based upon our foundation as the city upon a hill and all the rest as a place that would be free of the sins of the old world, including the tendencies towards violence and towards war of the old world. There was a hope, perhaps a fantastic hope, but any hope anyway, nurtured here that this would be a different kind of society. And there's still a feeling that it should be, it might be, it could be a different kind of society. There's also the fact that the United States has not experienced war on its own territory since 1865. And that even that war that ended in 1865 was so traumatic to us that if you go especially into the South and talk to people after a drink or two, especially, and people are talking about what they really feel, there's a lot of memory of that war. We've tried to depoliticize the Civil War and to kind of forget it by turning it into civil religious rituals like reenactments of Civil War battles and certain kinds of memorial and so on. But for many people in the South, even at several generations removed, it's a live memory. But that's the only memory we have of war on our own territory. So if you try to compare us with European nations, in a way you're talking about apples and oranges. These are people who know what war is, because they had it in their own backyard. We know what war is through body bags. That's how we know what war is, through body bags. Very interesting question, isn't it? So how can we join the human race? I mean, how can we feel, how can we make up for our inexperience? The inexperience caused by our isolation, on this continent. To develop more of an understanding of what war really means for the people who are exposed to it. It's so upsetting, it's so outrageous to hear our friends and neighbors talk about war in Afghanistan or anywhere else without the slightest idea of what that actually means to people who are exposed to it. And it's a problem in learning. It's a problem in learning. I'm seeing it, for example, in the person of my daughter's fiancé, who's in Afghanistan at the moment, who's coming back saying, "Oh my God." And not, by the way, not a particularly political guy, really, who's coming back saying, "I had no idea this is what happened there in a society subjected to violence of this intensity. Violence from us, violence between groups, violence from all sources." Somehow, we're not going to get anywhere unless we find some way to have those experiences, and whether it's through travel or through the internet or what, I don't know how we're going to have it. That's enough for me. I think I could go on with this but I think that's a study that somebody ought to do for sure. What does this stuff about America have to do with the way other people feel about war? Certainly everybody's got some concept of self-defense, everybody's got some concept of moral obligation, everybody's got some concept of what war as a last resort means.